Hey guys, good afternoon. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Lerato Sebata, your procurement specialist and of course business coach. Guys, today I wanted to chat about one of the critical stages in evaluation, which is site visits. Preparing for site visits. So what does this mean? Each tender has different types of requirements and different types of evaluation that is applied. This is not a standard blanket approach, right? This includes both public sector and private sector type of tenders. So there is what we call a two-stage evaluation or three-stage evaluation. The two-part system means there is an evaluation that looks at the technical requirements, functionality. If you meet the requirements, you make it to the shortlist, and then there's pricing and BEE. Then there's what we call the three-part evaluation system, which includes both the functional, which is the first phase of evaluation, and then second phase is price and BE, and then the third one is site visits. Sometimes in the first phase evaluation, you find that there is what we call pre-qualification criteria, which is basically meeting minimum requirements, which I spoke about as well in this channel before anyone in the evaluation team looks at your bid. But I don't know, it depends on how some organizations apply it, but in general, this is just what we use in the space of procurement. Three-part process, which today I want to focus on site visits, preparing for site visits. How do you prepare for an effective and successful site visit, which will land you the deal and or put you right on top? Né? There are instances, guys, when someone or a company have provided their quality bid, everything is well written on paper. This is what we call paper evaluation, which is what we call second phase evaluation, right? On paper, you are great. You've told us all the goody things. On paper, you are great. You have told your company that you are bidding to great stories. Your approach is perfect. Your methodology is perfect. Your pricing is bona or da. But sometimes what happens, the reason for physical evaluation or site visit is because some people are just good on paper like that. But if you actually go to their offices and the stuff they've written, on paper, it's not exactly the same thing, or it's completely opposite stuff, right? We find people that write bids on behalf of other companies, which is, it's a great thing if you find some people that are qualified to help, you as a bidder to prepare a quality bid to be able to respond to any tender. But they obviously write from a point of their frame of reference and understanding and wanting you to be the greatest, and they apply, I would say, global standards, standards this and that, just to make sure that you are great. Né? However, other organizations then they say, let's take this a step further. We see that you say you provide 1, 2, and 3, you meet our health and safety requirements, you meet our quality, whatever. But guess what? The evaluation team and the buying organization might say, hi man, we want to see you operate from an office that is operational and which is quality office, not just at the back of your yard or at the back of your own car. Guys, this happens a lot, and some people also rent offices. They don't declare, they don't disclose. Some just own a space, but then on the tenders, when they're submitting their bid, it seems and sounds like you own the entire, for example, Growth Point building. There are office spaces that do give SMME startups space, right? Or any business person for that matter, space to just come and use a boardroom, have access to that and that and that to provide the professional outlook, which is a great thing. But some people, when they bid, they do not declare and provide that. So this is just me explaining the reasons behind a need for a physical site meeting. So today's video, I just want to focus on preparing for a site visit. The most important thing of all time, one, is your health and safety file. Every company needs to have a health and safety file. And simple things that you can include or look at. Firstly, when the health and safety officer comes in, they're going to look at your labels. When they literally walk in your office, do you have a running man that says evacuation is this side? Do you have labels that guide employees working in that office that due to emergency or whatever sort, and there's an evacuation needed or emergency arises, where do you go? How do you guide? Are there labels that say, here's a bathroom, there's the toilet, there's the kitchen? Nah? That's just the first thing the health and safety officer is going to just look at when they work in the office. Two, they look at, do you have all your fire extinguishers in place? Do you have enough fire extinguishers? Remember, fire extinguishers are regulated. It depends the size that you're supposed to be using for the number of people that are in that office and the type of office that you're operating. If you are running a kitchen catering type of business, you need a different types of fire extinguishers that can cater, for, I would say, fire that could arise due to food, oil, and a whole thing. I think it's foam-based. I'm not sure. You can check them out. And then there's also fire extinguishers that work with general fire, paperwork related and right? And there's also different businesses. If you have large equipment, machinery, I don't know, gas exploding, something, the fire extinguishers need to be in line. And those are the things they check. So when you prepare for a site visit, trust and believe that the health and safety manager on the other side will definitely be looking at that. Yeah? And the other obvious things that they spot and they check is, the space between people, the office operating, is it a conducive environment? Are there aircons in the place? Can people breathe? Can people, is the office, I would say, friendly for human nature to sit in? Part of like your, I would say, mental health, employee wellness, employee check-in. It is a place for them to sit outside, to sit comfortable, the whole thing, right? It's part of the stuff that they look into when they're doing site visits. And that evaluation sheet they have right there, they are looking at that. Your file might have exquisite, explained everything in the file there, but when they get on site, only fire extinguishers is a disaster. Or you have a fire extinguisher, but it's wrong for your type of business. It's a disaster because then of course you'll be losing points. And maybe that's time you are number one ranking in the tender bid. The only thing you just need to do is to just go through this one and then you've passed the entire test. Né? So apart from the health and safety file being there are some things that need to be visible and present when there is site visit that the health and safety officer is looking at when there are site visit evaluation. Yeah? Are you all following? I hope you understand. Now, number two. Oh, sorry guys. Number two, let's look at the quality manager. So sometimes quality managers, obviously they will look for ISO certificates, your file, let's say your SABS approved, depending again what type of business you're running. If you have equipment or products or material that must be SABS approved, you need to have those certification. It is a lengthy process for you to obtain SABS certification. It's a whole long process. It's like takes time. But what they are looking for is to see if you have processes in place that can work towards you getting that certification. So if you can document your risk registers, where is your risk, how do you identify risk, how do you mitigate, where is it visible for staff to know in case of this what you must do, any business process, do you have business processes in place, business process maps, someone who walks in and maybe hypothetically speaking your receptionist fell sick that day and lo and behold they are going to be hospitalized for 6 months or for 5 months, someone must quickly come in and take on their job. Are there enough processes in place or flows that can, help someone who just does not know nothing about your company get in there and find out, okay, this is how you do typing work, this is where you save, this is where you do that, like guidelines. All of that is like process control, or I would say process flows. Any, I would say, workflow within the business streams needs a process flow. And what the quality managers are looking at is, if Lerato is absent, meaning you as a director, you are not here, who can take on the work and can they have business continuity? They're also looking at BCM, right? Business continuity management. In case of emergency disaster, how does the business operate without you as the director being there? Né? Or without some trusted people in the organization that seem like they are, spearheading this company, or any sales manager is absent or business development manager, they are not there. Can the company run in your absence? And that's the role of a quality, I would say, manager. Apart from the nice things like a QMS system, they'll look for that. If you are in security or technology related, sometimes they'll look for those IT management systems, the jazz. But the point is, do you have processes in place that are documented that say, this is how this thing works, this is how this flows, and this is how you teach people how to. That's why big organizations and corporates, when you join their team, they have policies, they have processes in place that say, if you want to, let's say, know how to process an invoice, this is what we need. There already are policies that govern processing an invoice, checks, affirmative confirmations, and all of that, approvals. And then you can read them, you get trained, and you must read all these many policies that are set before you. Guess what? That is a regulatory requirement to have process flows in place. And that's what the evaluators or adjudicators that are coming on site to look at. Now, if you're operating a factory, for example, you're making maybe materials, clothes, production of some sort, even there it's even more strict, right? They look at, safety boots, the people are wearing the stuff correctly, they're very strict. Do you have the kind of gear suitable for that warehouse, or and then do you have these things listed, rules, regulations, policy this, policy that? Are they visible into human eye? If you walk a meter away and there's nothing that guides how this section works, it's a point down. If on this machine there are no written, specification or rules and how to use the machine, and then there's signages, all of that, right? So this is now part of what the evaluators are looking for when they are doing site visits. Yeah? So guys, let me know if I make sense and does this resonate with you. And in case you're wondering, what do these people want? What are they looking for? It's not about the tea and the coffee that you offer them. Trust and believe. It's not about the niceness, right? That adds, I guess from a professionalism perspective, customer service and all of that. But the major points go into this, and let me know in the comment section if you have encountered what I'm talking about, or been given feedback for that matter, or ever wondered actually how does this work, right? And I also then just want to move to another point. All right guys, the next thing I want to move into is preparing now for the paperwork. Remember, if you do have employees in your company and you declared when you're submitting your tenders, you probably have an organogram or whatever that you mentioned, the team that you work with. When they are on site, they do want to see the number of the teams being there, because a lot of times people hire consultants, or just to get the tender they will say, I have a team of 20, you only have 3 people, or you're the only one. So when they get on site, they actually want to validate what you wrote in the tender submission. And remember guys, more than anything else, the purpose of site visit is to protect the company from risk exposure related to organizations that will take money and run away after they get paid, or companies that will put a risk exposure in terms of reputational damage to the company that would have advertised, because maybe for whatever reason you could just be operating somewhere in an unsafe and unhealthy environment, and the employees are affected and stuff, or they strike and the organization is part of that, right? So ultimately the employee wellness is super important, and this is just one of the validation confirmation. In my experience, I've done probably more than 100 site visits, right? Working into spaces and going in and checking the stuff. For IT environments, it's different types of requirements. For production, warehousing is different types, factories different. A general office that just has 1 director or maybe 5 employees, it's also different. So it will depend on what type of tender it is for and what are the requirements. So don't just take everything I'm saying in terms of blanket approach, but take note. If your company uses those services, have them right here when the guys come. And then as a director or as a managing, director or senior manager that day that will be on site, taking through the team, in terms of the walkabouts and stuff, you need someone who knows the company so well. Do not appoint someone who does not know much, like, I just joined 6 months ago, you need someone who understands the company so well that they can answer each and every question. Now, here's the other trick with regards to site visits. BEE managers and those kinds of consultants or specialists, when they're on site, they want to confirm for your BEE certificate, the management that you've declared, we are 51% owned, or we are 100% black owned, we have 30% women, we have this, we have that. They want to check and confirm. And there are times when sometimes they will want to sit separately with employees that you said is the supervisor, or they are, they have ownership in the company, and you probably lied. You just put a John Doe there and OC 10B, wild names, but you get me. So they will sometimes sit in a boardroom and say, can we interview your staff? We just want to have a conversation. We just want to make sure that, you know, the stuff that you've given us here on paper is exactly what it is on site. So if we did not prepare your staff members, well, guys, when this team comes here for site visits, please say 1, 2, and 3, 4. Excuse me. Do not say this, do not say that. Please, this is your frame. Stick to the script. You are here, you're doing this. It must match what you've submitted on the tender. Because abantu, guys, let me say this clear, that do not communicate with their staff member and they use their IDs to say that this person has this type of management ownership here and there, and you are lying just to get points. Hey, you're in it for another thing. I mean, some of the wild stories I have heard, you know, from B managers, that when you get on site and you interview these people that are supposedly having some form of ownership, people are crying. I mean, I don't know, because people are coerced, you know, to admit things that they are not. This is obviously more popular in cleaning type of spaces, services, security services, for some very odd reason. But guys, let's not do that. This is 2024. Let's do better, you know. So, and this is where you lose the points. Imagine you have come so far to qualify. First phase of evaluation, probably a threshold was 70 points to meet your functional requirements. Now you have BEE and price, you met. Then it is the last phase of evaluation, which is site visit, you fail. How crazy. I don't want you to be that type of person, especially if you are from my channel. So yeah, last thing I do then just want to highlight is, while you are in the office, just maintain a professional outlook. Your team must be very friendly. Ultimately, as a business, you want a company that is professional, that gets back to you on time, that is friendly. They will see how you treat your employees. You don't want to have funny vibes, right? This is just the softer side of things, but it does matter. The ambience, when you welcome them, if you put them in a boardroom that has a projector, you're sitting, you've got tea and coffee, all of that. Listen, those things count. It's just the softer things. But you know, if you're hosting people, you just need to be looking at these things, and it is important to not even overlook it. It's very frustrating, people driving maybe 5 different sites a day to do site visits, and they come to your office, they can't even have water. Hi, bo, kanjani. You don't want to look like, I want this tender so to come and save my life, and I'll be able to just buy Valkyrie water for you. Please. Have tea, have coffee, organize a section where the team is going to say someone must take care of them, but feel them at home and comfortable. And if you are going to be required to do some form of presentation for that matter, because sometimes the third phase evaluation, it is through a form of presentation, have your presentation guide there ready, you know, someone who's good and eloquent to speak through a presentation, you must do that. So in all things possible, my ask is, just do not lie. The point I'm trying to say is, don't be someone that you're not and be lying because wow. So stuff that will make you lose points when you are there, it is you not being able to perform accordingly. Anyway guys, this is what I had for today. These are the things that you must look at when you're doing a site visit. So please do let me know if does this relate to you. And again, if this video did help you, give it a thumbs up and comment down below and subscribe more than anything else. I'll see you guys on the next one. Have a good day.